I don't wanna stay here, no. Ain't gonna keep it low now. If you wanna go, let's go. Let's wrap it up and hit the road. 'Cause I wanna drive through the summer night. And when
Hey guys, I just wanted to take a quick minute, sit down, and discuss a few things over how we are approaching this brand new year. It's something that I like to do, as I'm sure many of you out there do as well. When we come upon the new year, we're always looking at things that we can maybe change, or new resolutions that we can make, and new goals that we're setting for ourselves in the upcoming year. So before the kids and I and Luke get back to our busy schedules and get too overwhelmed with life, I wanted to make sure and have a plan moving forward so we can stick to that, and I'm not coming from a place of stress or worry or not having a plan at all. Things just seem to run a little bit more smoothly when I can map out some goals for us that we want to set, or I don't really like to call them goals all the time. I like to call them motivations that we'd like to see ourselves come through in this next year. So when I usually sit down and I start looking at everything, I usually break it up into 3 categories, and those categories are personal, meaning just things for myself. The second category is family, and then the third is Luke and I's relationship, or where we would like to make sure that we're headed as a couple. So starting with overall things is reevaluating our schedule and any activities that the kids might be adding in, anything that I might want to make sure that we're really covering in our school curriculum, and also going over anything maybe that was not working in the first half of the year in our school curriculum, or even in the kids' activities. So I kind of sit down, look overall the things that are coming, but also the things that we're not working. Starting into this new year, the kids are still doing their typical swim routine in the mornings. Then Kenya has her Challenge A class that we take her to once a week. Lincoln has his Aviation and Aerospace Academy that he goes to, and then on Thursdays they're still doing their options program. So with that, I've kind of gone over to see how my schedule has gone and if everything is still working with that, and I feel like it was going pretty well. The only thing I wanted to structure better was an actual time schedule for each day, so the kids are working more on a time frame, and we're making sure and we're covering each of our subjects every day, and not just neglecting a whole bunch and only getting one subject covered. So I did go through and rework a daily schedule for each of them with their classes on the days that they are home, and for the days that they do come back from their community, they still have a few things to cover. And looking at this, I'm really excited because I'm hoping to succeed in the fact that we're getting everything covered every day, and I don't feel like one day we have to hit more of another subject because we neglected it on another day. So that is one thing that I've changed up for the kids, having a detailed schedule for them to work throughout the day. The other thing under family that I look at, are there any big things coming up for all of us? And this year is actually a really big year. We have a very big hurdle to clear coming this summer, and that is we are moving into a new house. We're not leaving the Colorado area. I am a Colorado native. I was born and raised here, but we left when Luke's job moved us to Illinois, and that is where the kids were born, and we were there for 10 years. After that, it's coming up on 3 years ago, Luke's company moved us back to Colorado, and we've been here, it'll be the end of this January, 3 years now that we've been here. And when we moved, it was the middle of winter. We had just sold our house. We felt very limited in the houses that were available at that time of year in January, and we just didn't feel that we really wanted to buy. We felt if we did purchase a home at that time where we were already stressed out, we were relocating, the stress was high, whether we were actually gonna like the area that we were in. So we actually chose to go ahead and rent and get to know exactly what area we wanted to be in, but also kind of let our family develop into this next stage of the kids coming into their teens and tweens. And with that comes friends coming over, entertaining a different crowd of young teenagers, and seeing what all they like to do. So over these past 3 years, we have rented, and it's really given us a great opportunity to sit down and think what we would like in our next house in this next stage of the kids' lives and Luke and I's lives as well. And so over these 3 years, we feel like now we've really been able to hone in more on the details that we're looking. We really love the area that we're in, so we're excited to say that we're staying in this area. But now we feel a little bit more settled and more prepared to make that big decision of purchasing a house and not having remorse of buying too quick. So the timeline that that's looking at is we actually will probably be moving in the summer, but we're going to start looking to mid to late spring. So with that being said, I know that this coming year and even starting right now, we need to start getting ready to move. Saying the word move, I know is exciting, and I'm excited to make that next step in our life of purchasing a home and actually being able to settle. But at the same time, it brings up repacking everything, organizing everything, and before I have to go and pack everything into boxes, I do not want to be packing things that really don't need to be coming with us. So I am going to be going into purge mode. And with that, I am going to start early on right now. Luke and I sat down the other day and we're calling this point phase 0 in the move. And that is going to be me going through every closet, every drawer, every back room, and start purging and making sure we're organized and not taking along extra stuff just to have to throw it out once we move. So that is one of a family goal, is that we need to start soon and get on a schedule of that way it doesn't just hit me at the end and I'm trying to pack and purge all at the same time. The other thing that we're dealing together with as a family is health issues and some food restrictions. For those of you that have been with our channel for a while, I'm sure that you guys have heard about Lincoln's health issues that he has with EOE, and we're starting to find out that it is caused by food allergies. And we tried to keep him off strictly no dairy this last summer, and they re-scoped him just to find out that the EOE was back and it had not cleared up. So they've put him back on the Prilosec, and they're just wanting to keep him on the Prilosec because they're saying, well, that'll just take care of everything. And I'm glad that there is something that alleviates the problem, but there is an issue with that. I don't want something that is just covering up the base problem. Yes, the Prilosec is keeping the inflammation down, but having him on this long term is just not an option for him. For me as a mom, I don't want this. I don't want just to take care of the symptom. I want to take care of his body and to heal it. So we've chosen to stick with our doctors, but also try a more holistic way as well. And right now that is really cutting out everything that he has reacted to. And looking and getting the test results back, he is showing that he is allergic to corn, wheat, soy, eggs, and dairy. Those are the main reactors. And so starting to reevaluate this and say, okay, like I said, I don't want to just cover the symptom. I want to heal the body so there's no more symptoms to cover up. And so this is going to take us eliminating all these things out of his diet for the most part. We're very lucky Lincoln doesn't have life-threatening allergic reactions to these things when he has them. but it does inflame his esophagus. It makes food hard to swallow. It gets stuck. There's times it never makes it to his stomach because everything is so inflamed on the way down to his stomach. At this point, what we are going to try is eliminating all these things. So that is coming up with a new diet for him, figuring out new recipes. And like I said, we're going to do this for the most part, speaking to the doctors and some of the other people that were working on the holistic side of it. They said, you know, once in a while is okay, but not having it constantly in his system. We need to let his system rest. So I am working towards building up to this. It's not something that we're going to just all of a sudden do cold turkey. It's me sitting down and replanning my shopping, replanning my menu planning as well. Now, Lincoln's not the only one going on some food restrictions here. Myself, I also suffer from actually not one, but 2 autoimmune disorders. One is Hashimoto's thyroid. I have thyroid problems. And then the second one is antiphospholipid syndrome, otherwise known as lupus anticoagulant. It's a blood clotting disorder, and I will link videos down below to Lincoln's health condition that he suffers from. I've done a couple of them. And I'll also link the episode where I kind of talked a little bit about mine and what I deal with. I have a great team of doctors monitoring my health, but I'm going back to the fact also this year, I just don't want to mask the symptoms that I'm having. I want to help my body heal and become healthier than what it is right now. And discussing and finding out that actually gluten is a reactor to a lot of people with autoimmune. They have suggested that I go gluten-free. And then Luke and I are also trying to do keto. I go back and forth between Trim Healthy Mama and keto. My body seems to react better going back and forth between those two. But I find out that really looking at the food that I'm putting into my body and avoiding a lot of the things that aren't good for me helps with so many symptoms that comes along with autoimmune. I deal with a lot of fatigue. There's days where I'm lightheaded, I'm dizzy, I have a muscle twitching, I have joint pain, I have even just pain in random spots, and it moves all over my body. And so I do find out when I am eating a cleaner, healthier diet, less processed foods, less sugar, that I just feel better. I'm more useful to my family and not dealing with my autoimmune. I'm also going to really try and stay stricter with my diet and definitely going gluten-free. Kenya also is dealing with what we finally had diagnosed as autonomic dysfunction. And I'm still learning about this. We didn't get this diagnosis until I think it was about September for her. When she goes from a sitting down or laying down position and goes to standing, she blacks out very easily. There's other things that come along with this as well. And once again, these videos will be linked down below if you want to check those out, how we've come about with all of these. So as a whole, we feel, you know, gluten for her, trying to really avoid sugar for all of us except for maybe like once in a great while. And then Luke is always trying to eat healthy too. It just makes him feel better. I'm going to be reorganizing our menu and trying to do a few things that way. The last thing with our family goals for this next year, with the kids moving into adolescence, we know that you have to still continue to get them to communicate with you, really be intentional about that family time. So that comes with me making sure our schedule is to a point where we're not running around like a bunch of crazy people going from here to there, that it's more planned, and I make sure that with that structure we actually find out we have more time together as a family. So with that, we are going to be very intentional about sitting down around the dinner table at night, making sure that we're having discussions with them. Pre-planning our meals gives us more time together as a family. I want to have them helping me more in the kitchen. But not only that, so with us doing the whole diet restriction and everything, I also want to make sure that we are planning one day a month where we go out together as a family, making sure that we're doing that. But during the week, we at least have one family night activity. And then, of course, our weekends, we try and stick together as a family, go do some fun things, and just really enjoy each other that way. So we have lots more of that coming up this year, and I just want to make sure that we're intentional about it and we don't let the busyness of getting ready to move and find a new house get in the way of that. So moving on from family to personal, just me, as all those moms out there know, that sometimes with us moms trying to handle everybody's schedule, getting the kids to practice, getting the kids to youth group, getting them to piano lessons, cello lessons, voice lessons, theater practice, we can really lose the time for ourselves. And I have to be very careful about this because I have a tendency to love to take care of everybody else and seeing them happy and excited, and I end up going, and all of a sudden I just feel like lost. I feel, oh my gosh, I don't have enough time just for me. I haven't sat down and just thought about a couple of things. And so I want to make sure that in this next year, with me trying to make sure that we're ready to move and dealing with new diet plans and food restrictions and everything, that I don't lose myself in the process as well. And it also is an area that I need to be careful of, because I find out when I run myself so ragged and am trying to just catch up with everything, that I suffer immensely with fatigue. And then when I suffer from fatigue, then my whole family suffers. I'm trying to stop that vicious cycle this year and help a little bit more with the fatigue. I know that there's going to be days that I just don't have control over it, but also make sure that I'm taking some quiet time out to myself each day, even just 15 minutes to sit down, collect my thoughts, maybe read a book that I've been interested in reading, but just make sure that I have that time of rest. And the other thing I really want to see myself take up this year is just to take one of my passions or my loves and just spend a little bit of time, one time a week, to be able to pour myself into that. So I'm gonna go back to a couple of my passions that I've kind of set aside for a while, try and take them up, but look at them and try and rework them into a way so that it doesn't take up so much energy, but still it feels like I'm spending a little time for myself. I don't know if that makes sense, but hopefully you guys can understand what I'm trying to say. And then as far as Luke and I come into all of this, and when we come up on a new year, Luke and I like to sit down, ask each other how we feel, where we're at, if there's more things we want to do together, if there's something that we're missing, or that we're not just doing so much anymore like we used to when our relationship is new. It's kind of fun to say, where can we relight that spark, and just also keep the spark going. So I think, you know, just once again, like I said, with family time, be intentional about dates for Luke and I. I really want to make sure that we're at least having 2 date nights a month, where Luke and I spend some time together. And we do feel that if you work on your relationship with the two of you and you take time out for the two of you, everybody benefits. The rest of the family benefits, because your relationship is healthier and stronger for it. So I've tried to put at least 2 date nights a month on the calendar for that. But also, I want to make sure at the end of our day, Luke and I are checking in with each other, that I'm asking him, how was your day? How are you doing? Are you really okay? I think there's so many times where we're so exhausted by the time we are ready to just go to bed that we forget to really reconnect with each other and check in with the other one and just take a moment and say, hey, how are you doing? And so I really want to make that intentional for Luke, make sure that he knows that I know he's here. I appreciate all that he does. And so that's one of the things on the list for relationship between Luke and I as well. That's just a few things that I am reevaluating for this next year. We have lots of big, exciting things to come up. Of course, we're gonna have some fun adventures that we usually go on, but we're looking forward to having some new motivations that help us keep growing closer together as a family and as a couple and as an individual. Thank you guys for always watching, and I hope your new year is going well.